Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Halayim La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Barakah HaKodash, which means all praises to Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. Bahasham means in the name. Yahweh Shai is the name of his only begotten Son, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ. Barakah HaKodash means in the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, on the way we can worship the Father and the Son. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you brothers preaching the gospel in truth and in sincerity, always in charity. It's Brother Mathatu from the Great Millstone Camp, the branch on Des Moines. And I don't have a title for this lesson just yet, but it's inspired through the Holy Spirit of what you see here on your screen. This is the Elder Yashawamba's video. Shameful spewing on E's glory is the title on his page, Remnant Saved 144. And it's going into speaking about the abominations that are coming out on Esau, Edom, man. You know, as the Lord said, what's done in the dark shall be brought to the light. Matter of fact, let's start with that precept. And I ain't got nothing set up, so I'm going to just go in the spirit. That's not it. I thought it was in the book of Mark. Yep, found it. I had to change up the wording. Mark 4:22, for there is nothing hid which shall not be manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it should come abroad. Same thing in Luke 8:17, for nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. That's why the scripture says, how are the things of Esau searched out? It's in the book of Obadiah. Verse 6, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? You know, and it's through the spirit of Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai. You know, the Lord is making inquisition. You know, it's the Lord that's exposing this devil, you know, through his own whistleblowers at that. Jeremiah 49:8. Flee ye, I started 7. Concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, Lord of hosts. Is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I'll bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. And the Lord has started to visit. Right? And how do we know? Hold that there. Let's grab this in 2nd Esdras. Salakia. This is 2nd Esdras 6:18. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. You see? So it's the Lord that's making inquisition, you know, which that word inquisition, it goes into a diligent search. Inquisition, a period of prolonged and intensive questioning or investigation. You know, cross-examination, man. You know, so the Lord is investigating, fact-finding, the discovery and establishment of the facts of an issue. You know, and the Lord is searching, you know, this devil out and and the world is seeing that he's the cause of why the earth is in turmoil. You know, scripture says, woe unto them that seek, I think it says seek deep to hide. Yep. Isaiah 29:8. And 15, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us, man? These niggas on private islands, you know, they got, caves and underground, locations and shit, man. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? So surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. So the people finding out that this ain't it, man. This ain't it. And therefore, going back to the elder's lesson, shameful spewing is on E's glory, man. Back in Jeremiah 49:9, if grape gatherers come to thee, will they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough. But I have made Esau bare. So the Lord is making a comparison. Grape gatherers, they leave some grapes. If a thief come, he come and take the valuables and he don't take your whole house. But the Lord like, nah, I'm uncovering everything. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. So this is the expose of Esau Edom here in these last days, man. And the root cause of this, right? Because as it is written in the book of Ecclesiastes, let me pull this first. Ecclesiastes 1:9, the thing that have been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So as the saying goes, history repeats itself. So now what's happening here in these last days is the same thing that was happening back in the ancient world, where you had wicked individuals, wicked rulers who were engaged in wicked ceremonies based on their quote unquote religion. I want to grab this in Wisdom of Solomon 14. I started 8. It says, but that which is made with hands is cursed. It's talking about idolatry. As well it as he that made it. He because he made it, and it because being corruptible, it was called God. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto the Most High. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of the Most High they are becoming an abomination and stumbling blocks to the souls of men and a snare to the feet of the unwise. For the devising of idols, why am I saying which? For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. So these idols going to be rooted out. For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end. And King Solomon goes into the process of how idols came to be worshiped and served. But I'm going to jump down. Verse 23. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, see, this is what idolatry brought. For while they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremony, matter of fact, verse 22. Matter of fact, 21. It says, and this was an occasion to deceive the world. And what did Esau Edom do? When he came out of those caves, he engulfed the world in idolatry. This is the book of Jeremiah. (50 and 38). A drought. And when you read up, it's talking about Babylon. So it's talking about here in America. I started 35. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men, A sword is upon the lies, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. When you look at this word treasures, it goes into storehouse. That's why in 2nd Esdras, going back to 2nd Esdras 6, matter of fact, let's go back to that. 2nd Esdras 6. Slot. Just jumping down real quick. Verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses, that's those treasures, that's your grocery stores. You see? That's where you go and access your food and water. Shall suddenly be found empty. Because what's the root cause of that? This is the book of Tobit 4:13. Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thy heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people, and not taking a wife of them. For in pride is destruction and much trouble, and in lewdness is decay and great want. That means lack. For lewdness is the mother of famine. And through Esau Edom's sorceries, lewdness has spread all throughout the West and eventually all throughout the world. We're going to keep going in this Wisdom of Solomon 14, but let's go back. Jeremiah 50:38. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols, man. You see, and the Lord said there's going to be a visitation upon that, man, because he warned us. Ezekiel 14:3. Son of man, these men have set up their idols in their heart and put the stumbling block of their iniquity before their face. Should I be inquired of at all by them? Right? So the Lord, like, these men ain't finna come seek after me, but yet they set up their idol in their heart, man. You know, see, the Lord calls it the image of jealousy. Now, this was actual, idols back then, which is actual idols today, but it's more so spiritual amongst the majority of our people, man. You know, of course, the Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Allah, all these are idols, which is going to bring a destruction upon Jake. But you also have Jake move into the tone of their own will, so to speak. Which I'm going to highlight that point later on, when I go to the chat, because I had looked up a couple of things in the chat. But I'm going to read this in Ezekiel 8:3. It says, and he put the form of a hand and took me by a lock of my head, and the spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven and brought me in the visions of the Most High to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoketh to jealousy. And now in today's time, it's the idols in Jake's heart. Because the Lord told us through the mouth of Paul, this is Romans 6. I'm going to just grab it now since the Spirit wanted now. This is Romans 6. Is it 16? Yep. It says, know ye not that to whom ye yield your servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death or obedience unto righteousness. Right? So who you yield your members unto, your members is your body, right? And he used the word members up here. Neither yield your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but what you yield yourselves unto, meaning what you give your time, your energy unto. Because I had asked the chat. In the TV series American Gods, I'm not sure if brothers is familiar with it, but it's a good, series. I didn't finish it, but I think I made it to like episode 6 or 7, might be a little further than that, but it says in the TV series American Gods, it showed you that ancient gods were rebranded anew, which is why I read that Ecclesiastes. Is there any real life examples of this? Chat says, oh yeah, American Gods is actually riffing on something very real. Gods getting rebranded isn't just a TV idea. It's a reoccurring pattern in history, religion, and culture. Number one, the Roman gods were rebranded, right, from the Greek gods. This is one of the cleanest examples. When Rome absorbed Greek culture, they didn't wipe out the gods. They renamed and repackaged them. And keep in mind, what we're living in today is a continuation of that old Roman system. The deadly wound was healed, right? So Esau is going to reintroduce these same idols and the service to those idols back into the earth, right? So you can see the names of them. Same personalities, same dominions, new branding for a new empire. Rome basically said, these gods work. Let's make them Roman, right? You got Aphrodite, that's rebranded as, the Virgin Mary. Ares or Mars, the god of war, which a lot of these ancient deities are reimagined in today's time. They even have shows. I'm thinking of Perseus, Percy Jackson. It's a Disney show, based on the Greek gods and them having children. I'm thinking of the game God of War. But March is named after Mars. When you look at the names of the months, January is named after a two-faced idol named Janus. So this place is steeped in idolatry, man. Even when it comes to, your comic book characters, right? Because even the pantheon, right? They call it, the pantheon means all gods. You got the Justice League. I believe that's what it's called, with Superman, which Superman is supposed to represent Zeus. You got Batman. Batman is supposed to represent Hades. You got Flash. He's supposed to represent Hermes or Mercury. You see? Aquaman, he represents Poseidon. So there's just an example of how this devil rebrands things today. And now the children watch those things, right? And they buying the action figures, and they got them on their book bags and t-shirts. And, this dude is very, very, very slick. As the scripture says in the book of Genesis, that the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, And he went off on this Canaanite gods into Israelite gods, which that's madness, man. Because the Canaanites served many gods. And when we came out of Egypt, the Egyptians served many gods. And when we came out of Egypt, the Lord, showed us and we acknowledged that there was one power. And we went in conquest. We went and took over the land of Canaan. And the Lord made sure to tell us, I believe it's Leviticus. But he told us after the doings, because I know there's one where he says, after the doings of the Egyptians, you are not to do. Yep, perfect. It sums it up. Leviticus 18:2, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, I am Yahweh, your God, your power. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Right? And Esau has reintroduced the way of Egypt, the way of Canaan, the way of Rome, the way of Assyria, the way of Babylon back into this earth here in these last days, which is why America is called all those different ancient kingdoms in the prophetic scriptures, man. Because Esau has reintroduced those practices and those vile doings into this place, and our people is caught up into that. Psalms 103. Is it 103? Says they were, is it 106? They were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. Yep, Psalms 106 and 34. They did not destroy the nations, and this is particularly talking about the Canaanites, concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils. Keep that in mind. And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a whoring with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled against his people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance. And he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. You know, and even in let me slow down. Even till today, you know. So just show you that chat has be going off. But point number 3, pagan festivals was rebranded as Christian holidays. This is straight out of American Gods. Instead of erasing popular traditions, Christianity often reframed them. Saturnalia or Sol Invictus equals Christmas. December 25th, light, feast, and gift giving. Spring fertility festivals. Easter. You see? Eggs, rabbits, renewal imagery. The gods didn't survive, but the symbols did, under a new story and meaning. Right? So it's the same energy being put back into the earth. Saints replacing local gods. And this highlights what? The Catholic Church. In many regions, saints functionally replaced old deities. Examples: local healing gods, saints of healing; war gods, St. George; sea gods, St. Nicholas, protector of sailors. Right? And once again, the saints come from what? That Catholic madness, man. Showing you that it's all pagan. To the people, the role stayed the same, only the name and theology changed. And it goes into Egypt. But I want to highlight this point right here. Modern gods, very American gods. Neil Gaiman wasn't subtle here. Think about what commands devotion today. That's why I read that Romans. What you yield yourself servants to obey, ye servants ye are to whom ye obey. It says money, technology, fame, nation, ideology. No temples, but people sacrifice time, identity, morality, and even life itself to them. That's not accidental. Humans will create objects of ultimate loyalty just with better marketing. You know? And they showed you that in that series, American Gods. And this is why Yahweh Shah told us that we can't serve two masters. Because you're going to cleave to the one and hate the other, or you're going to cleave to the, or vice versa, man. You see? And that's why it's important that we have our eyes single. That we unlearn the way of the heathen. Right? So let's keep going back in that Wisdom of Solomon 14. Verse 21. And this was an occasion to deceive the world, for men serving either calamity or tyranny. And what are people serving today? Did ascribe unto stones and stocks the incommunicable name, right? Meaning you can't, the Lord's, his reputation, what he built, what he created, his power, his might, his majesty, it can't be put on an idol, man. Verse 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High. But whereas they lived in a great war of ignorance, these so great plagues called they peace. You see? And even today, you got people want to go back to the norm, want to go back to the normal things. But these are really plagues that we living under, man. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices. Now, this is literal, because you got the so-called elites, of this world, billionaires and millionaires and so-called celebrities. They are doing this literally, man. You will hear it in news that a certain celebrity, they son or granddaughter or whatever might have passed. And then the news say it's an overdose, or the news say it was, it was an accident, went boating or whatever the hell, But there's whistleblowers that come out and be like, well, no, that person was sacrificed, or that person got strangled, or that person got his throat slit while his father watched. These are reports of different so-called celebrities, man. You got butlers, and cleaning ladies, that work for these so-called celebrities, actors, musicians, directors, so forth, so on. And they sign NDAs, man. Non-disclosure agreements. So they're not supposed to talk about the things that they see in their house. Which you have some of them that came out and said how they was cleaning up blood and different. These dudes, this is a sick ass society we live in, man. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices or used secret ceremonies or made revelings of strange rites, right? That's those strange rites, man. Because it all goes in service of those idols, man. You gotta do that strange shit. They kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. A good example is Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Their marriage, was never a holy union, man. And then look at what they did to their children. They didn't physically sacrifice their children, but spiritually they did, which we're going to highlight that later on in a couple precepts. But either one slew another traitorously or grieved him by adultery, so that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft. And what's happening here in this society? What did the Lord say? It happened back then in ancient Israel, and it's happening today here in America underneath the governance and rulership of Esau, Edom, the devil that the Bible speaks of. This is Hosea 4:1. Hear the word of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, ye children of Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of the Most High in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood, man. This is running rampant in today's society, and you can't say otherwise. And what do it stem from? You see? Everything that this society upholds and promotes. Look at Starbucks. You think you just going to go get a cup of coffee, but really that's Ishtar. Which once again, it highlights what I was talking to the chat about. Because it asked, trace one guy's transformation step by step. So I told him to trace Ishtar's, and it went into Sumeria, Ainana, right? Which you got a lot of different songs being made, with that name or that quote, for lack of a better word, in it. I'm thinking about Rihanna's song. Oh, nah, nah. This all goes back into idolatry, man. And that shows you that these musicians and these actors and they're nothing but temporal prostitutes. And the Lord told us not to have no sodomite or no whore amongst the children of Israel, right? And it was talking about temporal prostitutes. Let's pull that. Deuteronomy 23:17, there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. When you go into that, female temple prostitute, the sodomite, male temple prostitute. You see? And this is what our people turn into, just to be famous, going back into those things that they give themselves over to. You know, going back to what we read in chat. Let's go back up. Because of money, fame, you see, they give themselves over to these things, man. You know, when Usher got divorced from his wife, she came out and spoke about how when he would come home from those meetings with those music execs, that he would sit on the toilet all night because he couldn't hold his bowels in, man. How sick is that shit, man? But see, that's why Paul said that it's a shame to even speak about those things which they do. Let's grab that. Is that Ephesians 4? It ain't. Damn, how's that worded? Let me just type in dark and narrow it down to Paul's epistles. Yep, I think it is the 5th chapter. Damn, how is that worded? Have no fellowship. Yep. For Ephesians 5:11, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret, man. These some vile individuals, man. You know. But I want to highlight a point, because as you can see, Ishtar, Astarte, which according to the nation, you know, it has different names. It's the same entity. It's the same energy, but it's different names, right? Just like in ancient Egypt, you know, it was Isis, you know, Astaroth, which that's written throughout the scriptures, Aphrodite in the Greek, Venus in Rome, and look at what they say here, the Virgin Mary. You see? So you can't make this up, man. You can't make this up. You know? So let's go back to what we was reading. Wisdom of Solomon 14. And 25. So that there reign in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good turns, defiling of souls, changing of kind. And you see that running rampant with these so-called celebrities and their children. That's a form of sacrifice, man. You see? Disorder in marriages. Had this nigga Will Smith crying. It's crazy. Adultery and shameless uncleanness. For the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. And who promotes that, man? This is why the Lord said he's going to cut this devil off, man. Isaiah 47:12, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. You see, if so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Right? And these things has already started to come. So now we see that this devil in his left, he's ramping up his left hand energy, man. You know? See, this is all what we're seeing. What's being brought out is this devil's sickness, his rites and rituals that he's been performing, man. Wisdom of Solomon 12, which I also asked chat. Matter of fact, I'll do it while I'm recording. I asked chat while I'm recording. Is there any correlation between Isaiah 47, 12, and 13 and Wisdom of Solomon, which that's what we're about to read, 12, 3 through 6. And as he loading that up, let's read that Wisdom of Solomon 12 through 6. Wisdom of Solomon 3. Oh my God. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12, 3 through 6. It says, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land. Now, who is occupying our land today? This is talking about the Canaanites. But as we read in that Ecclesiastes, the thing that have been is that which shall be, roughly paraphrasing. So who's occupying our land today? You see, Esau, Edom. See, Esau, Edom now takes the place of the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Egyptians. He's the power at play right now, right? So this applies to him today. It says, both those old inhabitants of thy holy land, which thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh, and the feast of blood, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that kill with their own hands souls destitute of help. So this is what the Canaanites were doing. But what are we reading in Psalms 106? That Israel learned their works and started to do the same things, man. And it's taking place today. Esau is doing these odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices, and Jacob's following right behind it, man. So let's see what chat had to say. Yeah, there is a meaningful correlation, though it's thematic rather than a direct quote or prophecy fulfillment link. Let's line them up and then zoom out. What each passage is doing. Isaiah is speaking judgment against Babylon, which is America. He mocks their reliance on sorceries and enchantments. Man, this nigga rely on popping boys and drinking blood. Nigga, you really think that's going to save your ass, boy? Astrologers, stargazers, monthly prognosticators. The point isn't just you practice magic, but you trusted hidden knowledge, cosmic science, and occult wisdom instead of the Most High, and it will not save you. It's a condemnation of counterfeit wisdom. That's why Sirach says the knowledge of wickedness. It's not wisdom. Let's pull that, man. Sirach 19 and 22. The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. And that's what this dude has, man. Neither at any time the counsel of sinners, prudence. And he's leading himself into a ditch. This Wisdom of Solomon 12, 3 through 6. This passage reflects on the Canaanite nations and explains why the Most High judged them. Sorceries and unholy rites, cruel murderers of children, secret rituals, and lawless initiations. Here, sorcery is tied to moral corruption, violence, and especially child sacrifice. And it's the same thing as Isaiah 47, but it just didn't mention it, man. The author presents these practices as proof that the nations were irredeemably destructive. Can't be redeemed. And it's the same thing with Esau. The shared thread, false wisdom that corrupts and destroys. Occult wisdom versus divine wisdom. Both passages treat sorcery, astrology, and secret rites as a false source of knowledge, a rival system claiming insight, power, or control apart from the Most High. In Isaiah, it's intellectual and political arrogance. In Wisdom of Solomon, it's moral and societal decay. Same root problem, man. You see? Same root problem. I'm just proofreading real quick because I think that's all we need, man. You know, yeah, that's all we need. Made the point with that, man. And this is why the Lord has this judgment coming upon the king of Babylon, right? Or the king of Assyria, as it calls him in Isaiah 30. So we're going to read this in Isaiah 30. We're going to read it in the NLT. Isaiah 30 and 27. It says, look, the Lord is coming from far away, burning with anger, surrounded by thick rising smoke. His lips are filled with fury. His words consume like fire. His hot breath pours out like a flood up to the neck of his enemies. He will sift out the proud nations for destruction. He will bridle them and lead them away to ruin. You see? And this is what's pronounced against Esau, Edom, and against America specifically. Let's read that in the KJV. Isaiah 30 and 27. Behold, the name of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushua cometh from far, burning with his anger, and the burden thereof is heavy. Right? Isaiah 13, the burden of Babylon, which the son of Isaiah, the son of Amos, Isaiah, the son of Amos, did see. His lips are full of indignation, and his tongue as a devouring fire. You know, those laser beams from the chariots, but also those nuclear missiles, the weapons of his destruction that he's going to bring upon this place. What did Ezra see? He said, all I seen out of his mouth, you know, was a tempest and you know, in a concentrated fire. I'm roughly paraphrasing 2 Ezra 13. And his breath as an overflowing stream shall reach to the midst of the neck, to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity. And there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err. And this is what we're seeing. Egypt is staggering in the work thereof. I'm roughly paraphrasing Isaiah the 19th chapter. This is the Lord's doing, man. Ye shall have a song as in the night when a holy solemnity is kept, and gladness of heart as when one goeth with a pipe, to come unto the mountain of the Lord, to the mighty one of Israel, man. So we're going to rejoice, you know, at seeing the downfall of our enemies, man. You know, and the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lighting down of his arm. That's the return of our Lord Yahushua, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones, man. So once again, that's those lasers, but also those missiles, right? King Solomon seen that same thing. Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter. Wisdom of Solomon 5:17. He shall take to him his jealousy for complete armor, and make the creature his weapon for the revenge of his enemies. He shall put on righteousness as a breastplate, and true judgment instead of a helmet. He shall take holiness for an invincible shield. His severe wrath shall he sharpen for a sword, and the world shall fight with him against the unwise. Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds, he maketh the clouds his chariots, as from a well-drawn bow shall they fly to the mark. That's those laser beams, man. Right? Even in the book of Maccabees. Second Maccabees 10 and 30. It's talking about angels. And took Maccabeus betwixt them, and covered him on every side. When you read up, it's going into the angels. And kept him safe, but shot arrows, as from a well-drawn bow, right? And lightnings against the enemies, so that being confounded with blindness and full of trouble, they were killed, man. You know, back in verse 22 now. Wisdom of Solomon 5:22. And hailstones full of wrath. Hailstones full of wrath, which represents those missiles. know it's a precept in the book of Revelation. Let me see. Maybe it's separated. There it is. Revelation 16:21. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone, hailstone, about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed the Most High because of the plague of hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. You know? And it's going into the missiles, man. Every island fled away. You know? The Lord is about to pronounce a heavy judgment against this place. Well, he's already pronouncing it. He's going to bring it. That's what I meant. But this Wisdom of Solomon 5:22, and hailstones full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bow, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the flood shall cruelly drown them, man. The earth shall reel to and fro. It says the sea waved his hands up on high. I believe that's Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter. It also lines up with 2nd Ezra 16. You know, it says the fish and the waves are troubled, right? Yea, a mighty wind, that's Jeremiah, that destroying wind, shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away. Thus iniquity shall lay waste the whole earth, and ill dealing shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty. So there's a judgment coming for all this wickedness these dudes been committing, man. Back to Isaiah 30:30 again. And Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lighting down of his arm, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones. For through the voice of the Lord shall the Assyrian be beaten down, which smote with a rod. You see? What is that? Isaiah 14, you know, who ruleth over the nations with a continual stroke, right? Roughly paraphrasing, man. This dude is about to be taken out of his place. And in every place where the grounded staff shall pass, which the Lord shall lay upon him, meaning it's a judgment that the Lord is going to bring, it shall be with tabrets and harps, and in battles of shaking will he fight with it, man. It says, didn't it say that the trees shall rejoice at the fall of Babylon? For Tophet, this is the point that I'm reading this. For Tophet is ordained of old, yea, for the king it is prepared. He hath made it deep and large, the power thereof is fire, and much wood. The breath of the Lord, like a stream of brimstone, dew kindled it, man. So the Lord calls this place Tophet, right? Which is what? A place of fire. This is America today. You see? So I want to go back and read that in an NLT. Isaiah 30:29. But the people of the Most High will sing a song of joy, like the songs at the holy festivals. You will be filled with joy as when a flutist leads a group of pilgrims to Jerusalem, the mountain of the Lord, to the rock of Israel. And the Lord will make his majestic voice heard. He will display the strength of his mighty arm. It will descend with devouring flames, with cloudbursts, thunderstorms, and huge hailstones. At the Lord's command, the Assyrians will be shattered. He will strike them down with his royal scepter. And as the Lord strikes them with his rod of punishment, his people will celebrate with tambourines and harps, man. Whew. Didn't it say they sung the song of Moses and the song of the Lamb? I believe that's Revelation 15. Lifting his mighty arm, he will fight the Assyrians, which is talking about Esau. Tophet, the place of burning, has long been ready for the Assyrian king. You see? So this is the judgment that's going to end Esau's rulership. The pyre is piled high with wood. The breath of the Lord, like fire from a volcano, will set it ablaze. So I want to precept that here with Jeremiah 19. Now, within this chapter is going into Jeremiah prophesying against the wickedness of Israel in the land of Israel. You know, the wickedness of our people in our land, and the Lord bringing that judgment back then. But as we read, you can see how it correlates or how it can apply to today. So this Jeremiah 19:1. Thus saith Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, go and get a potter's earthen bottle, and take of the ancients of the people and of the ancients of the priests, and go forth unto the valley of the son of Himnom. That's a very key point, because as we jump down real quick, just to show you what's the valley of the son of Himnom. I know it's in this chapter. I think I overlooked it. Yep, verse 6. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that this place shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. Right? So you see the correlation, because America today is Tophet. So symbolically, it's also the valley of the son of Hinnom, right? Which Yahweh Shai called the Gehenna, and that's just written in the Greek. I don't think I spelled that right. No. He didn't say that. He called it hell, which in the Greek is Gehenna. Yep. It's Matthew 23 and 33. I'm going to just read it out this verse. Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers. No, let me get a more fitting precept. Where their worm dieth not. Yep. Let me pull that one. This is Mark 4. No, let me get the one in Luke. I know it's one in Luke. Anyway, it says, verse 43, and if thy right hand, it don't say right, I'm sorry. And if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having two hands to go into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched, where their worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. Yeah, I want to get this word hell. Gehenna. Hell is the place of the future punishment called Gehenna, or Gehenna of fire. This was originally the valley of Hinnom, south of Jerusalem, where the filth and the dead animals of the city were cast out and burned, a fit symbol of the wicked and their future destruction, man. Tophet, the place of fire. You see? So that's why 2/3 of our people is going to take part in this lake that burneth with fire that's ordained for the devil and his angels. I think that's how Yahweh Shah said it. It's Matthew 25. This is Matthew 25. And 41. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, these are the wicked jakes, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. So 2/3 of our people is going to partake in this judgment that's meant for Esau, Edom. Jeremiah 9 and 25. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will punish all them which are circumcised with the uncircumcised, Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab and all that are in the utmost corners that dwell in the wilderness. For all these nations are uncircumcised, and all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in heart. So they're going to partake in this judgment, that's meant for the devil. Back in Jeremiah 19 and 2. And go forth unto the valley of the son of Hinnom, which is by the entry of the east gate, and proclaim there the words that I shall tell thee. And say, hear ye the words of Yahweh, O kings of Judah. And these kings today could represent, these so-called leaders, man, these people that's influential, right? That our people look up to. You got the Bad Bunnies, you got the LeBron James, and so forth and so on, man. These dudes are Satanists, man. Doing all kind of sick, vile, practices, man. And inhabitants of Jerusalem, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will bring evil upon this place, the which whosoever heareth, his ears shall tingle. And the Lord about to bring an evil upon America, because they have forsaken me and have estranged this place and have burned incense in it unto other gods, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, nor the kings of Judah, and have filled this place with the blood of innocents. They have built also the high places of Baal to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind. So this is literal But once again, you got an individual like Dwayne Wade or Magic Johnson, or we talked about Will Smith earlier, who sacrificed their living children by turning them out, man. See, because the word Sodom, when you go into it, means a burning. You see? So that was a fit judgment. The Lord rained fire and brimstone upon them because of what? How they burned in their lusts. This is Romans 1. And 23. And changed the glory of the uncorruptible power into an image made like the corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts and creeping things, going back into the idolatry that we're speaking about, right? Wherefore the Most High also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of the Most High into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause the Most High gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned, you see, in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat. So it's going to be a just judgment upon these dudes, man. You know, in these rituals that they perform, and allowing their sons to be used in these rituals, and then turn their ass out, man. Back in Jeremiah 19:5, they have built also the high places of Baal to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind, because the Lord said not to do that, man. You know, that's written in the law. Let me see. Yep. Leviticus 18:21, and thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, man. Leviticus 20:2, again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel, of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. You know? This is the same thing Jake is doing today, man. Following after what? Their father, the devil. Verse 6. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that this place shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. And what did it say? The slain of the Lord, right? In the book of Revelation, it talked about America, which is known as the wine press. This is Revelation 14. I want to get straight to the point. In 19, and the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and cast it into the great wine press of the wrath of the Most High. And the wine press was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the wine press even unto the horse's bridle by the space of 1,600 furlongs, man. That's great death right there, man. You know, yep. Isaiah 63, the Lord have trodden the wine press alone. But I know that's in Jeremiah, which highlights that it's talking about Babylon. Is this what I'm thinking of? But anyway, this is Jeremiah 51:33. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Man, I thought there was another one that linked the winepress in the book of Jeremiah. But anyway, it proves the point. You know, it's the harvest, man. It's time for this place to get cut down. But let's go back. Jeremiah 19:7. And I will make void the counsel of Judah and Jerusalem in this place, and I will cause them to fall by the sword before their enemies, and by the hands of them that seek their lives, and their carcasses will I give to be meat for the fowls of the heaven and for the beasts of the earth. There's going to be great death here in America, man. And I will make this city desolate and in hissing. Everyone that passes thereby shall be astonished and hiss because of all the plagues thereof. And I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons. This was coming. And the flesh of their daughters. This is a judgment, you know, that's coming to this place, man. You know, because you got your average everyday people that are sacrificing their children in the form of, teaching them to follow after they lust, to be chase after money, you know, going back into, you know, that chat, you know, where it called the American gods, technology, money, fame, you know. So there's a judgment coming for all that, man. And the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat every one the flesh of his friend in the siege and straightness wherewith their enemies, and they that seek their lives shall straighten them. This happened during the Babylonian siege. It happened during 70 AD under the Roman siege, and it's going to happen again today. Then shalt thou break the bottle in the sight of the men that go with thee, and thou shalt say unto them, thus saith the Lord of hosts, even so will I break this people in this city, as one breaketh the potter's vessel that cannot be made whole again. And they shall bury them in Tophet till there be no place to bury. Thus will I do unto this place, saith the Lord, and to the inhabitants thereof, and even make this city as Tophet. And the houses of Jerusalem and the houses of the kings of Judah shall be defiled as the place of Tophet, because of all the houses upon whose roofs they have burned incense unto all the host of heaven, and have poured out drink offerings unto other gods. Then came Jeremiah from Tophet, whither the Lord had sent him to prophesy, and he stood in the courts of the Lord's house, and said to all the people, thus saith Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushua, Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will bring upon this city and upon all her towns all the evil that I have pronounced against it, because they have hardened their necks that they might not hear my words. And as it happened back then, it's going to happen today. You know, so this is the importance of unlearning the ways of the heathen. The scripture says in 2 Corinthians that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty to the pulling down of strongholds. Pray to the Lord. Ask for this guidance, this wisdom, this understanding to pull down whatever stronghold that might be over us. Idols that we might set up in our heart that we might not know about. Time, energy that we're yielding unto something. You know, when we're supposed to be giving our effort, time, and energy unto Yahweh wa Yahweh Shah. But I'm going to end it there. I hope and pray that this was edifying. Tawadi Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shah, for giving me a spirit to do this lesson. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Baruch HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, salutations to you brothers, you few sisters that's listening and learning in silence as well. Shalom.